The Galactic Linguistic Council chamber stretched across 3 vertical kilometers of crystalline architecture, a monument to the supposed superiority of advanced civilizations. Liu Chen stood at the defendant's podium, his human frame dwarfed by the towering representatives of 47 species, each one convinced of their linguistic evolution beyond the primitive sounds of Earth. Terran, hissed the Velkorian ambassador through her translation matrix, is perhaps the most inefficient communication system ever catalogued by this council. Leo's jaw tightened, but he maintained his composure. The translation devices embedded in the chamber walls rendered every species' language into digestible neural patterns, yet somehow, humans were being judged for the very tongue they spoke naturally. Beside him, Bella Torres, humanity's chief xenolinguist, tapped her data slate with barely contained fury. She had warned the United Earth government that this hearing would be hostile. The galactic community had spent the better part of a standard year mocking Terran ever since humanity's clumsy first contact with the Confederation. Ambassador Chen, continued the Velkorian, her bioluminescent throat sac pulsing with what the translation matrix interpreted as condescension. Your species uses sound waves, vibrations in atmospheric gas. The Velkori evolved beyond such crude mechanisms 8,000 years ago. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber. The crystalline shardborn chimed their approval in harmonic frequencies. The methane-breathing Nullax released puffs of chemically encoded data. Even the silicon-based Lithians, who communicated through modulated electromagnetic pulses, seemed to radiate disapproval. Leo glanced at Bella. Her dark eyes met his, and in them, he saw the same determination that had carried humanity through the gene wars and the Mars catastrophe. They had survived extinction-level events on their own world. They wouldn't be intimidated by snobbish aliens. With respect, Ambassador, Leo began, his voice steady, efficiency isn't the only metric of value. Terran evolved to serve multiple purposes simultaneously. Exactly our point, interrupted the QQ Terran delegate, a being composed of organized swarms of microscopic entities that thought collectively. Your language is bloated. Why use metaphor when direct neural transfer conveys pure meaning? Why waste processing power on poetry when data compression exists? Bella stood abruptly. Because language isn't just data transfer, Delegate QQ Thar. The chamber fell silent. Human interruptions violated protocol, but Bella had studied these species for 5 years. She knew their weaknesses. The Velkori, she continued, pulling up holographic displays, communicate through precisely modulated pheromone sequences. Efficient, absolutely, but limited to individuals within atmospheric range and chemical compatibility. The Shardborn use resonance frequencies, beautiful, mathematically perfect, and utterly useless in vacuum. She advanced through her presentation with the precision of a surgeon. The Nullax require specific atmospheric compositions. The Lithians need conductive mediums. The QQ Theran need physical proximity for collective thought processing. Leo watched the delegates shift uncomfortably. Bella was building towards something. Terran, she declared, works in any atmosphere, in vacuum through written form. It can be encoded in radio waves, light pulses, mathematical sequences, even gravitational fluctuations if necessary. It's adaptable. Adaptable, scoffed the Velkorian. You mean primitive. Your species hasn't evolved efficient communication because you're evolutionary newcomers. Then let me propose an experiment, Leo interjected, seeing his opening. A challenge, if you will. The council chamber's ambient hum shifted. Challenges were part of Confederation law, a remnant from the warrior culture Draken, who had founded the interstellar organization millennia ago. What challenge? Demanded the QQ Theran delegate. Send a message to a random species anywhere in charted space, Leo proposed. Each of our species will attempt to communicate a complex idea, say, the assembly instructions for a quantum fold drive. Whichever language achieves comprehension first wins. The Velkorian's throat sac flushed dark purple. Ridiculous. Our methods are already proven superior. Then you have nothing to fear, Bella smiled. The vote passed by narrow margin. The Draken delegate, amused by the prospect of conflict, ensured it. 3 standard weeks later, the results arrived. The test subject was the Immoran Collective, a recently contacted species from the galactic rim who had developed spaceflight but remained isolated. They had been presented with quantum fold drive instructions in 7 different galactic languages, including Terran. The Velkorian pheromone sequence had been incomprehensible. Immoran biology couldn't process the chemical markers. The shardborne resonance patterns had damaged Immoran auditory organs. The Lithian electromagnetic pulses were interpreted as stellar radiation. The QQ Terran collective thought matrices induced seizures in Immoran neural tissue. Terran's simple, acoustic written Terran had been understood within 48 hours. This proves nothing, protested the Velkorian ambassador when the results were presented. The Immorans are clearly primitive themselves. Actually, interrupted a new voice. A holographic projection materialized in the chamber's center. It was Immoran Commander Thal, her chitinous features arranged in what the translation matrix identified as satisfaction. We found the human language fascinating, Thal explained through her own newly acquired Terran words, accented but clear. It contains layers, surface meaning, contextual meaning, emotional subtext. When your written instructions said carefully align the quantum manifolds, we understood not just the action but the importance. The consequence of failure was implied in the word carefully. She continued, the Velkorian instructions told us what to do. The human instructions told us what to do, why it mattered, and how to feel about it. This is efficient in ways we had not considered. Leo felt something shift in the chamber's atmosphere. We have begun teaching Terran in our academic institutions, Commander Thal added. 3 other species in our local cluster have requested the same materials. Over the following standard year, something unprecedented occurred. The Confederation's junior species, those recently contacted, still finding their place in galactic society, began adopting Terran as a secondary language, not because it was mandated, not because of human influence, but because it worked. Terran became the lingua franca of frontier trade stations where a dozen species intersected. It became the language of emergency protocols, where clarity and emotional context could save lives. It became the language of art, where metaphor and symbolism transcended mere data transfer. Bella stood in the observation deck of humanity's first embassy station, watching cargo ships from 30 different species dock and depart. Through the communication channels, she could hear it, heavily accented, grammatically creative but unmistakable Terran being spoken by beings who had never seen Earth. Leo joined her, carrying 2 bulbs of coffee, a human beverage that had also, inexplicably, become popular across a quarter of the galaxy. The Linguistic Council is requesting a formal meeting, he said, handing her the coffee. They want to discuss establishing Terran as an official Confederation language. Let me guess, Bella replied. The Velkori are furious. Livid, but they're outvoted. 43 species have submitted petitions in favor. Bella sipped her coffee, watching a Lithian vessel exchange docking coordinates with the station in crisp, silicon being speaking Terran. The language her ancestors had developed in Earth's caves and savannas, refined through millennia of human struggle and triumph, was now spreading across the stars. You know what's funny, she mused. They mocked us for being inefficient, for using sound waves and metaphors, for having irregular verbs and contextual meanings. And now half the galaxy speaks our primitive language because it turns out that inefficiency, that beautiful, messy human redundancy, makes communication more robust, more human. Leo smiled. Should we tell them that English is just one of 7,000 languages humans developed? Bella laughed. Let's save that revelation for later. I want to enjoy this moment. Below them in the station's commercial district, a human teacher was conducting a Terran language class for a mixed-species group. The students struggled with pronunciation, debated the difference between there, and there, and asked why humans needed so many words for said. The teacher, patient and encouraging, explained that language wasn't just about efficiency. It was about connection, about understanding not just what someone meant, but who they were. In the vastness of space, humanity had brought something unexpected to the galactic community. Not superior technology or devastating weapons or ancient wisdom. They had brought the messy, beautiful, frustratingly irregular gift of human language, and the galaxy was richer for it. The aliens had mocked Terran. Now they spoke it, and in doing so, they were learning what it meant to be a little more human. And